So I've been living in Costa Rica for a year and a half now. It's been a really beautiful experience overall. Right now, I have to say that I have never suffered so much from the heat. This is an exceptionally hot, dry season. So the dry season in Costa Rica runs from December to beginning of March, usually. Although the wet season this year was not a wet season at all, and so the land is extremely dry and extremely hot. And so I am having a hard time, to be honest, and contemplating moving a lot more in the mountains. We'll see. Now, I gave you a sneak peek of the land that I'm living on in my last video where I did a day in the life. I showed you just how beautiful and serene it is. And so many people have come here, fallen in love with the land, fallen in love with the river, with the ancient grandmother tree. And this place has been trying to build community for over a decade. It hasn't happened for so many reasons. The simple reality is that if you're trying to build community in a way that this place is trying to do, it is very, very, very much a challenge, although it's really what feels most aligned with my heart. Now, the most common community model that we find is the simple lot model, where a project has different lots that they sell. You simply build your house and the lot belongs to you. This is what the majority of the projects here in Costa Rica are doing because it's the most simple way. It follows the system. It's not too out there. It's like a good between community life, but you can sort of still have your own personal space. My partner and I have a vision that's quite a bit more utopic, in that we go back to this idea that we don't believe that we should own land. The earth belongs to everybody. Gaia is everybody's playground. We don't believe in borders, not country borders and not personal borders. That's not to say that you can't have your house and that you can't have your own area, right? I like my privacy more than anybody. That being said, it's about working the land together communally. So our idea is to be co-owners, co-creators of a common shared piece of land. As opposed to just saying this is my spot and I own this, we collectively own it through different ways, ideally through a trust model. And the land is protected in a trust, in an irrevocable trust, meaning it can never be sold. And we're trying to end this perpetual selling and rebuying cycle that so many lands experience, and to root ourselves. Last night I had a dream that was telling me about the importance of bringing back the Indigenous peoples to the land to give it back its sacred nature. And this is something that my partner has mentioned before, that he has felt that the land is calling for. This place used to be so sacred to the Indigenous peoples, and they hold keys, they hold wisdom that can really help us commune with the spirits here, with the land, so that we can build something that's a lot more harmonious. I recognize that I don't necessarily have the depth and knowledge to truly be able to listen to the land and know what's best for it, how we as stewards of this earth can take care of it, can steward it, can work in co-creation with it to build something that is sustainable for many generations to come, where we feel grounded. One thing that I notice a lot in Costa Rica, and I think this is a common problem all around the world, is that communities are very much places where people sort of just pass through. And even if you buy a lot and you build your house, one thing I hear about often is that people end up just renting their house, or they're just not there, or they're only there a part of the year. And so it makes it challenging for the community members that are more invested, devoted, to actually, create something if a large percentage of their community members are just not simply there. So there is a certain need to devote yourself to a project, to really want to create deep roots within the land, to be of service to it over a decent amount of time, so that something can be built for generations to come. And in doing this, we're also really paying reverence to the land and ensuring that it is preserved. It's a great way to make sure that this large piece doesn't ever get torn down. There's such a deforestation problem here, and despite the great amount of people who are trying to revert that, we're not able to go at the speed of what's currently being cut down, and it's really sad. This might be one of the reasons why the rainy season was so dry. I don't know. Definitely some sad things going on, so there's a need for preservation. We're ultimately just trying to be of service as best we can and doing it in a way that feels the best for our hearts, our minds, our souls, and ultimately building something that is not only for our children but for many generations to come, so that we can create solid foundations and eventually we can actually create the new earth. The new earth needs to be built by concrete actions that are literally tangible in the earth. And I think that really starts by community. If these communities are done in a way where we are listening, where we are bringing back this Indigenous knowledge, these Indigenous peoples, the sacred, where we are honoring Gaia, where we are honoring the spirits, where we are honoring everything, not just ourselves. This is how we create harmony, and this is how we create the new earth. Thank you for listening.